The update on the business and update on the market is that you're totally right that there's been a huge backlash against just traditional ad formats that force interruption. So a forced audio ad, a forced video ad. You open your phone to try to go to a site and an interstitial pops up, the video plays with sound, just like the forced model of interruption. That model works if somebody's receptive to it. The TV ad model works if somebody's willing to watch your ad on TV, or the forced radio ad works if someone doesn't change the channel. But I think for the next generation, and not just age-wise, but just like the next tech-savvy generation, you can't forcibly interrupt them. And so what's happened for us over the past 5 or 6 years is that what's replaced the interruptive ad model for the modern marketer, for the Cokes and the Pepsis and the Procter & Gamble's and others, is this idea of ads that fit in naturally, where somebody chooses to scroll past and chooses to read, chooses to engage, and it feels like part of the content. Now clearly labeled as an ad. On Facebook, when you see an ad on Facebook, you know it's an ad, but your brain registers it and sees it and reads it, and if it doesn't want it, doesn't want to see it, it scrolls right past it. So what we do now and what we've evolved to, Sharethrough, is that we're the largest independent native ad platform for the open web. So we don't do anything in Facebook, we don't do anything in Twitter or Pinterest or LinkedIn or the closed platforms. What we do is bring the Facebook-style integrated ad, that model that respects the user and it feels like a feature of the site, not some foreign object in the corner. We bring the tech that powers that to CNN, to Disney, to Hearst, to Time, to say rollingstone.com. Their site, if you look at Rolling Stone, goes story, 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 story. Instead of putting a big interstitial on top of that or a big banner in the middle of it, they're using Sharethrough tech to power the ad that fits in. And that ad that fits in is not traditional display, it's native display. Or it's not traditional pre-roll, it's native video. And so that's what we're doing, and the market has definitely adopted native as a standardized, programmatically viable and programmatically sellable medium. We exist to help publishers find a sustainable monetization model. Sharethrough from the very beginning, even during the early stages of figuring out the business, was always how do you help the modern web, the modern publisher, the site that is self-respecting and wants to be as respectful to the user as Facebook's ads, maybe to Facebook users. How do we help them find a sustainable business model built still on advertising, but on an ad model that fits in, an ad model that respects the user? So our business model is we go to a publisher like, let's use CNN, say, hey CNN, you have a .com site, you have AMP pages, you have an app, you have mobile, you have desktop, you have a presence on the open web. And if you want to monetize that presence with something beyond the banner, Google can power the banner for you. But if you want to monetize that with native ads that fit in, set up our tech as an integrated system to design your templates and all the components you need to make it work. And then they use us to sell the inventory to the marketplace, either sell it directly through their own salespeople and their own deals and their own buying relationships, or sell it through an open exchange, which is it's the Sharethrough exchange, so the open programmatic exchange for native, where buyers like DSPs, the Trade Desk, AppNexus, DBM, Adobe, AdCloud, etc., can help traders buy programmatic native inventory through the existing channels that they're already buying banners and pre-roll and traditional ads. Programmatic is everything. There's a component of our business which is publishers selling it directly, and even that's shifting to programmatic. So even if a publisher sells directly to Procter & Gamble, maybe they do it with paper-based IOs, but the future of that direct sale is private marketplaces and programmatic deals, programmatic guaranteed, programmatic direct, private marketplaces, whatever category you want to call it. And then the rest of it, this idea of open programmatic through the exchange, that's growing faster than anything that's ever grown in our business. This idea of a buyer saying, I'm using Trade Desk or Adobe or DBM to buy traditional media, but now I also want to buy programmatic native ads. That type of model of a buyer buying it through their own seat on their own DSP through our open exchange, that's, to me, that's the most exciting thing that we've launched in the past couple of years, and it's the fastest growing thing we've seen in a long time. I'd say the biggest existential risk for our business is that the www.com internet just kind of fades away. At some point it might. At some point maybe you don't have the phone in your pocket. At some point the internet maybe is on your face. At some point you're in virtual reality. I'm not sure what the future of that holds. But we do exist mostly on the www.com internet, the open browser-based internet on Chrome and Safari and Firefox, etc. So if the whole world moves to Facebook, it's not only bad for our business, it's bad for Google's business, it's bad for every publisher's business, New York Times, Wall Street Journal, etc. And so we sort of share in the publisher's concerns of preserving the open web and preserving this idea of an open internet funded by both advertising and subscription models that's not just in the walled garden of Facebook. People often talk about Twitter and people often talk about Pinterest and some of the other closed platforms in the same breath as Facebook, but really it's like 99% Facebook, maybe 1% the rest. As you're talking about publisher traffic and where publisher traffic happens and comes from, it's publisher sites and it's Facebook. And yes, Google's investing more in AMP, and AMP is definitely growing right now. Twitter, probably more insular in that publishers have presences on Twitter, but it's not a ton of homepage traffic coming from Twitter. But yeah, as I think about the future of the publishing business, which is equivalent to the future of our business and a lot of folks here, it's really predicated on the preservation of the web. And the preservation of the web, I think, is predicated on a sustainable business model that's not just forced banners and forced interruption and forced interstitials and X buttons and skip buttons, but it's ads that fit in, that feel like they're natural, that feel like a feature of the page. Because if it feels like a feature and it feels like integrated, people actually see them and people's brains actually process them versus some banner that just happens peripherally. So the thing I'm most excited about is publishers finding sustainability in this business model around native ads and really helping publishers reset the foundations of their business on this new paradigm.